What if I told you that everything you know, your job, your fears, your daily routine, even your desires, is nothing more than a mental program designed to keep you trapped in an illusory reality? And what if the reality you live in is only a limited projection of what your consciousness allows you to perceive? Leaving the Matrix isn't science fiction. It's a process of awakening available to anyone who decides to break the invisible codes controlling their life. In this video, you'll discover how to shatter those hidden patterns and even more, how to take real quantum leaps, rapid, profound transformations that rebuild your reality from a new vibrational frequency. You don't need to wait years to change your life. The key is already within you. Before we go on, write in the comments, "I choose to leave the Matrix and activate my quantum power." This affirmation generates a powerful intention vibration and immediately begins to shift your frequency. Few names inspire as much fascination and mystery as Jacobo Grinberg, a neuroscientist, psychologist, and deep student of Mexican shamanic traditions. Grinberg dedicated his life to investigating what he called the neuronal field, an invisible structure that connects all consciousnesses and shapes the reality we experience. His research revealed something disturbing. What we perceive as real is merely a mental construct, a conditioned reflection of vibrational patterns and beliefs stored in our subconscious. In other words, the world you see out there is actually a reflection of what has been programmed in here. Inspired by both neuroscience and ancient wisdom, Grinberg proved that reality can be manipulated when we learn to access subtler levels of the mind. He mysteriously disappeared in 1994, leaving behind a legacy that challenges everything we know about consciousness and the universe. Today, his discoveries resonate across various branches of quantum physics and modern spirituality. In this video, we'll explore how you can apply Grinberg's teachings to escape the mental matrix that limits your life and take conscious quantum leaps toward a new version of yourself. Contrary to popular belief, the Matrix is not a physical system controlled by machines or unseen computers. It is a mental structure composed of beliefs, patterns, memories, and conditioning that silently shape how you perceive reality. From birth, we're inserted into an environment already loaded with preconceived ideas about who we are, what's possible, what's right, and what's wrong. This education isn't just cultural, it's programming. Every word we hear in childhood, every repeated idea like money is hard to come by, life is a struggle, or you can't do whatever you want, acts like a line of code that gradually builds an invisible prison, a perceived reality based on limitations. And the most surprising part, you live this reality believing it's objective and unchangeable. Jacobo Grinberg identified that this mental prison is fueled by unconscious perceptual filters. He called this the neuronal field, a kind of vibrational network where the mind, through its beliefs and expectations, projects a reality consistent with what it thinks. In other words, you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are internally. So how does this matrix solidify? Through emotional repetition. When something repeats with sufficient emotional charge, whether trauma, constant criticism, or a family pattern, the brain records it as truth. Someone who grew up hearing, "You're not good enough," may spend their life trying to prove otherwise, without realizing they're operating from programming they never questioned. This matrix is also collective. Society shares limiting beliefs en masse. Fear of scarcity, guilt, competition, dependence on external authorities to validate our existence. Media, traditional education, and even many religions reinforce these codes, creating a collective low-frequency field that keeps billions of people stuck in the same cycle. Work, pay bills, fear the future, seek approval. However, the matrix is not indestructible. It's just a mental construction. And anything mental can be undone with awareness, intention, and practice. The first step is realizing you're inside it. The second is beginning to deprogram the patterns that keep you trapped. By understanding how this prison forms, you'll see that escaping it is possible, and more, that your true essence was never limited. It was simply obscured by layers of conditioning. Liberating yourself from the matrix is, above all, a return to who you were before the programming began. Jacobo Grinberg was one of the first modern scientists to propose, based on rigorous studies, that the reality we perceive is neither objective nor universal. It's created by the mind. This may sound radical at first, but it rests on deep foundations from neuroscience, quantum physics, and mystical traditions. For Grinberg, what you call reality isn't the world as it is, but the world as you interpret it. The human mind constantly filters the vast array of stimuli the universe offers. Every color, sound, sensation, and emotion undergoes an internal process of selection and interpretation. What you see, feel, and believe is molded by this personal perception field, which Grinberg named the neuronal field, a vibrational entanglement connecting consciousness, brain, and reality. The greatest illusion, he said, is believing that everyone shares one fixed objective reality. In truth, there's an infinite potential field, a kind of malleable cosmic fabric that shapes itself according to the internal structure of the observer. This means two people can live identical circumstances and interpret them in completely different ways, creating subjective realities that feel entirely real to each person. The Matrix exploits this structure by convincing you that reality is immutable, external, and controlled by forces beyond your reach. It limits your ability to intervene consciously in your own life. You start accepting conditions as definitive. This is how it is. Nothing will ever change. I'm just this way. Yet all of this is merely a specific reading within a vast field of possibilities. Grinberg proposed that this field can be reconfigured through an internal vibrational shift. In other words, when you change the frequency of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, the field around you responds coherently. Reality changes because who you are inside has changed. The structure of the universe isn't rigid, it's responsive. This view resonates with discoveries in quantum physics, especially the principles of non-locality and wave function collapse. The observer influences matter's behavior. In other words, you're not just a spectator of reality, you're a co-creator. When you grasp this truth, you begin to see that life doesn't happen to you, it happens from you. The Matrix loses its power when you understand that you can shape the world around you by reforming your inner world. The illusion dissolves when you step into the role of creator and leave behind the role of victim. And this is exactly where the true quantum leap begins. When the mind awakens to its creative power, everything around starts to reorganize. Before you break free from the matrix, you must understand how it's sustained within you through invisible mental filters. These filters are cognitive and emotional structures acting as lenses through which you interpret absolutely everything. They not only influence what you believe about the world, but also shape what you allow yourself to experience. And the most astounding part? Most of them were installed without your consent. These filters arise from significant experiences, family repetitions, social conditioning, and, most importantly, the way you emotionally reacted to these events. Every time you encounter a situation with a strong emotional charge, rejection, humiliation, failure, or fear, the brain records it as a survival rule. From that point, it begins to filter reality to protect you from that pain, even if it means limiting you. For example, if you once tried to speak your mind freely and were criticized, you may have created an unconscious filter that speaking up is dangerous. Over time, this filter will make you stay silent, avoid exposure, and even reject growth opportunities, all to avoid the pain associated with criticism. The same happens with filters around money, love, success, and spirituality. And the most dangerous part, over time, you don't even notice these filters exist because they become confused with your identity. The key to deprogramming these filters begins with conscious observation. You need to learn to notice yourself. What patterns repeat in your life? What kind of situations do you attract frequently? What automatic thoughts arise when you face challenges? Repetition is a clear sign of an unconscious filter. Whenever an emotional cycle repeats, abandonment, scarcity, or rejection, it's being fueled by an unresolved internal pattern. Once you identify the filter, it's time to reprogram. Here enters a fundamental principle of Jacobo Grinberg's teachings. The internal reality reconfigures the external field. The technique consists of 3 steps. Recognize the lie. That filter is only an emotional interpretation of a past event, not an absolute truth. Install a new code. Create an affirmation that opposes the filter, such as, "My voice is valuable," "I deserve abundance," or "It's safe for me to be authentic." Reinforce with emotion and repetition. During the hypnagogic state, that moment between wakefulness and sleep, repeat these new affirmations with feeling. Visualize yourself acting as if they're already true. This process may seem simple, but it has a profound impact. The brain learns through emotional repetition, and the more you feed a new frequency, the more your nervous system adopts that new pattern as its baseline. Gradually, you begin to free yourself from the filters that once controlled your perception, and therefore, your life. True freedom begins in the mind. By identifying and dissolving the filters that imprison you, you start to see life as it really is, an unlimited field of possibilities. Imagine a moment in the day when the conscious mind begins to dissolve, the body completely relaxes, and a new door opens. The door of the subconscious. This moment is known as the hypnagogic state, the transition between wakefulness and sleep. It's in this subtle space that your mind comes into direct contact with the reality creation field, and according to Jacobo Grinberg, it's one of the most powerful portals for exiting the matrix. During this state, the mind operates in theta brainwaves, the same that dominate a child's brain in early years of life. In childhood, we absorb everything without filters, building our basic beliefs and personality. The difference is that in the hypnagogic state, you can access that level of receptivity consciously. In other words, you can directly reprogram the vibrational foundation of your identity. The matrix remains active largely because most people enter this state every day, reinforcing the same old patterns. Thoughts of scarcity, insecurity, fear, day-to-day frustrations, all of it is processed as truth by the subconscious, which simply reproduces that content as repeated experiences. The universe, then, responds not to what you want, but to what you're unconsciously vibrating. Grinberg showed that by using this state intentionally, we can send vibrational commands to the neuronal field. When these commands are charged with emotion and coherent mental images, they begin to restructure reality from within. The technique is simple but demands consistency. Lie down in a quiet, preferably dark environment. Relax your body completely, releasing each part slowly. Stay conscious as your body falls asleep. That's the key. You'll feel your body grow heavy, your mind slow down, but you'll remain awake enough to direct your attention. Affirm and visualize with emotion. In this moment, speak short, powerful, positive phrases in the present tense. For example, I am free. My life transforms now. I am the source of abundance. At the same time, create vivid mental images of yourself living this new reality. See it, feel it, hear it, breathe it. Sleep immersed in that vibration. This seals the reprogramming. Your subconscious will continue operating on this information throughout your sleep. This portal is sacred. It's a moment when logic loses strength and vibration takes over. That's exactly why ancient mystics, yogis, monks, and thinkers like Neville Goddard used it. He also affirmed that the space between sleep and wakefulness was the most fertile point for planting the desired reality. By mastering the hypnagogic state, you don't just reprogram your mind, you access the place where the matrix loses power. In that place, there are no imposed limits, only possibilities. It's there that reality begins to be redesigned. Many people imagine the quantum leap as something mystical, distant, or reserved for a select few. But in truth, it's a natural phenomenon, accessible to anyone willing to change their vibrational frequency. For Jacobo Grinberg, the quantum leap wasn't a spiritual metaphor. It was a real reconfiguration of the neuronal field, triggered by a sudden internal shift in how the individual perceives themselves and the world around them. But what does this mean in practice? A quantum leap occurs when you alter your emotional and mental vibration so intensely and profoundly that reality has no choice but to reorganize. It doesn't depend on time, but on frequency. Time is a construct of the rational mind. Vibration, on the other hand, is the language the universe understands and responds to. Imagine a radio station. As long as you're tuned to the frequency of scarcity, fear, or doubt, that will be the song playing in your life. But the moment you change your internal frequency, even if nothing external has changed, you stop receiving that old signal and begin picking up a new reality. That's the quantum leap. Switching vibrational stations, which in turn attracts new life experiences. This leap can be gradual or immediate, but the turning point is often sudden. It's when something within you tires of repeating patterns and an unshakable decision is born. Enough, I change now. And it's not a rational decision, it's a vibrational shift. You feel it in your body, in your breathing, in how you move. Doubt gives way to certainty. Fear gives way to presence. And the matrix, in that instant, starts to unravel. Grinberg linked this phenomenon to the release of perceptual filters. When you break a limiting belief, an entire web of interpretations and behaviors dissolves with it. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. You don't need to remove the darkness, you just illuminate. That's how the quantum leap works. No effort required, only vibrational clarity. You can facilitate this process with simple, powerful practices. Meditations that elevate your frequency, emotionally charged affirmations, conscious breathing, and firm decisions anchored in the now. Action is essential, but vibration is the engine. When both align, the leap becomes inevitable. The quantum leap isn't about becoming someone else. It's about returning to your natural state, before programming, before fears, before the matrix. It's the reconnection with the infinite field of possibilities that was always available. But now, you hold the vibrational key to access it. Waking up to the fact that you live inside a mental matrix is only the first step. True power lies in acting from this new awareness, becoming a co-author of your reality. Jacobo Grinberg asserted that the neuronal field, this network connecting mind, matter, and perception, responds not only to thoughts and emotions, but also to conscious actions, expressing a new vibrational identity. Creating a new reality, therefore, isn't just imagining something different. It's acting as if you already inhabit that new world, even if your physical eyes haven't yet seen the changes. The matrix feeds on your passivity, your automatic repetition, your inertia. But conscious action cuts that cycle like a blade because it sends a clear signal to the universe. My vibration has changed, and I am living accordingly. This kind of action isn't impulsive or driven by desperation. It's aligned, coherent with the new frequency you wish to embody. For example, if you're reprogramming your mind for abundance, your daily decisions must reflect that new mindset. Invest in yourself, say no to what doesn't expand you, organize your finances consciously, speak with words that uplift rather than limit. Each choice becomes a vibrational reinforcement, each deed a new code installed in the field. This quietly yet powerfully transforms reality. Gradually, you begin to attract new people, opportunities, and situations that resonate with this vibration. What once seemed distant or impossible starts emerging naturally. Conscious action also involves vibrational responsibility. That means watching your reactions and correcting your frequency whenever you notice yourself slipping back into old patterns. If a situation triggers scarcity, fear, or doubt, ask yourself, how would my quantum self, the one already living my desired reality, act? And then act like them. That's the key. Act not based on what you see, but on what you want to manifest. Jacobo Grinberg taught that consciousness creates, but vibrational consistency maintains the new reality. In other words, a one-time shift isn't enough. You need emotional and mental stability to sustain the new field. That's why meditation, visualization, affirmations, and conscious actions form a quantum ecosystem that nourishes your transformation. By combining elevated intention with practical action, you become a vibrationally aligned and structurally active being. The matrix loses strength because your energy no longer feeds the old codes, and the universe, mirroring your inner vibration, begins to dance to your new tune. The new reality isn't something you wait to happen. It's something you choose to live, with every thought, every word, every step. Now that you understand how the matrix forms, how it influences your life, and how to take conscious quantum leaps toward a new reality, the question remains, what will you do with this knowledge? Knowing is important, but applying is what transforms. Starting today, watch your thoughts before sleep. Choose a new frequency. Act as if you already live your desired reality. And above all, repeat the process with consistency. The first signs of change may seem subtle, but over time, the very structure of your life will begin to reorganize. If this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to receive more videos that blend spirituality, science, and the expansion of consciousness. This isn't just information, it's a call for you to awaken to who you truly are. And remember, the matrix only exists as long as you believe you have no choice. The moment you decide to vibrate differently, act differently, and think differently, the system begins to collapse. The quantum leap has already begun. Now the next step is yours.